How many of you remember your third standard half-yearly marks in mathematics? How many of you remember anything in your nursery school? Anybody? Any incident, anything which is pleasant in your mind? Can somebody share?
When my mother comes and leaves me in this school, I start crying. When she goes back, teacher used to put me on the table because I was so small and give some sweets. That's the only thing I remember from nursery.
We invariably remember things from our memory which is pegged to our emotions. I cry because my mother is dropping me at home, she is teaching me, she is leaving me to myself, taking me from a secure surrounding of my home. And I like that moment because I get something sweet to eat because my teacher puts me on a table. One is something very pleasant to me, other is unpleasant to me. These are two things which make me remember something. But I remember my 4th standard quarterly maths mark. I got 20 in mathematics and 5 in geometry. And I remember because I failed. And I remember because my father would have helped me. I remember because next day my report card will not come to school and I will get a hit on my knuckle. Right? This pain and worry made me remember my marks even today very precisely. What has this got to do with evaluation? Every message when somebody conveys from here has 3 parts: content, intent and emotion. As an evaluator, when you sit there and try to note down all the content the speaker is giving, many a time you will miss the intent of the speaker. Right? And you are so intently noting down the content, you will miss the emotion also. And at the end of the day, when you are called for evaluation, you won't know what to say. You will only be repeating what the speaker has said as part of the speech, and you will be lost in your own content. So how do I solve this? When I sit there as an evaluator, what is being asked is I need to listen intently to the speaker, which means first I will decipher with my intent the speaker's intent. Once the intent is clear in my mind, the entire screen for me is very clear where I can make everything. My memory is clear now. This speaker today has decided to inspire me. This speaker today has come here to inform. This speaker today has come here to provide me an insight. He is reinstating his insight in many a form so that I can take home that insight about high net worth. So what is the intent of the speaker? Once that is found out, then when I sit there from the beginning to the end of the speech, every word, every message creates some emotion in me. Sometimes I am feeling, why this speaker is not speaking loudly? And this is a place where you have to have the body language is not. So somewhere I go through a lot of emotions. And this is very nice, he's saying it very nicely. It gives me a surprise. Sometimes the choice of words amazes me. Sometimes the way the speaker has successive questions interest me. I get hooked at the moment. So what happens to you at every moment in the speech if you keep noting down your emotions? First it was an inquisitiveness. What is this guy going to speak about? Oh, he is trying to inspire me. Fine. I get an answer to my question. Then how is he proceeding to do that? He could have done here better. So somewhere I am disappointed. This is the next takeout. So I write disappointment. Just write those one word emotion of yours as you listen to a speech. And after the speech is over, you just look at the emotions, you will get all these statements the speaker has made verbatim in your paper. You need not even try to write at that moment. Right? This is the clue to become a good evaluator. Why this is becoming a good evaluator? When I am listening intently and capturing my emotion, I am giving you fine observations about your speech. Toastmaster in your manual gives a lot of guidelines which talks about finer statements, but never we get into that because we are more aware of the questions that I have to answer at the end of the manual. Right? So I request you to look at these emotions. It is going to give you fine observations about the speaker which the speaker is not aware of. Eye contact, everybody will be aware. Don't move like a pedestal fan, everybody will be aware. You know, raise your voice, everybody will be aware. Most of the time you are clasping your hands, everybody will look at it. Assume you are part of an evaluation contest, all these things will be observed by all the participants. Where you are going to make a difference is what final point you are going to present to the speaker. That is where you are going to make a difference. Um, having said this, I made all my observations. How I need to present it, that is the key thing. In evaluation contest, there are 4 major criteria in which a speaker is judged. One is how he is capable in analyzing a speech, how he has analyzed the speech, how he has threadbare understood the speech and presented it. You have presented a speech like this, this is the crux of your speech. If I could analyze the speech well, I get some points. What are the suggestions I am giving to the speaker in terms of delivery, in terms of content? This gets some points. What is the take-home value I present to the speaker? That says how much I have imbibed the speaker. And finally, what technique I have employed. Whether I am motivating the speaker, whether I am criticizing the speaker, whether I am pulling down the speaker, right? Or I am appreciating the speaker, whether I am doing the sandwich method, what is it I am trying to do? What sort of technique I deploy to evaluate a speech? And finally, how do I summarize? To summarize, we have to summarize, let me evaluate our president's speech today. I was pleasantly surprised to see Vijay Lakshmi not referring to her notes when she is sharing an anecdote or a story. Generally, you will find her looking at it, speaking. Today, there was not a single moment where she read her paper. She read very specifically when she has to read a quote, the definition of intelligent quotient. Right? IQ. That is the only time I saw her read the paper. That was a very pleasant and comfortable feeling to me. And I could remember the dialogue between Robert and Andy, Robert and teacher. I could remember everything because that surprise element captured the entire story you have put in. And the second story about the potential of an individual, how he is realizing it, about the monkeys which we are trying to cross. Right from 10 miles to 50 miles to 100 miles, I can jump, but I don't know whether I can come back. Everything I could remember because every time I was in the surprise mode. This is something wonderful. Right? If I have to summarize her presidential address, it conveyed a very clear message to all of us. At the same time, it was very natural, in a very conversational style. Never a point where she was trying to impress at all. She was only expressing what she wanted to say. Right? I was impressed by the way you expressed your thoughts. If I can summarize it, that's the best way I can give credit to the speaker. So a judge is going to look at how well you can analyze the speech, how you can give suggestion to the speaker both in terms of content and the delivery, what technique you employ while evaluating your speech, and how you summarize the overall speech. These are the 4 areas in which you are going to be evaluated by the judges. Having said this, if at all I need to make a little more difference, I need to look at all the guidelines. You are looking at a basic communication manual, your voice modulation, working with words. If you find something which is done exceedingly well, it is not just done exceedingly well. If you find something, please make a point. If you find a speaker has a wonderful eye contact at some point of time, or has a bad eye contact, he is speaking to you but looking at you, or looking at the board most of the time, you make a note of it and give a feedback. In the basic attributes, look at those things which is done extremely well or where he has to improve a lot. Look at some unconscious gestures which the speaker makes, unconscious words which the speaker brings in. That is going to be an improvement for the speaker. Judges will also be looking at it, but they will also fail to write it because they think that anyway these people are going to tell their evaluation, I can at that time assess and relate to the speech. Right? They will not have noted down. But if they are noted down and they also listen intently, any of your final observations is going to get you better. Right? Any questions? I will take questions for next 2 minutes. How much time have you taken, sir?
9 minutes, 10 seconds.
10 minutes is the time given. Any questions you have, you can ask.
So in the last, you mentioned after this, what technique?
Technique can be a sandwich technique.
To evaluate the speech, what is the, can you elaborate on that?
One is whether I really appreciate you, whether I try to motivate you. What is the objective of an evaluation? Please understand the very purpose of evaluation is to increase the self-worth of an individual who comes here and speaks. That is the primary motive. I have come to this club because I don't know whether I can speak well impromptu. So I have come here to improve that. And every time I struggle. Assume I am going to evaluate, you have not improved. never he will improve in his life. Because he has already, his self-worth about himself in impromptu speaking is low. And every time you evaluate and point out he is not good, he is not good. What happens? He is also going to look at his inadequate part. You are also looking at the inadequate. Never he will improve in his life. If at all somebody has improved in this moment, it is only because you have appreciated him for what all good things he has done in his speech. We have mentioned few things which he has to look as challenges for future speeches. So if your primary purpose or the baseline for your evaluation is to increase the self-worth of the speaker, then your technique is good. If you find more fault than the strength of the speaker, then you are not doing a job of evaluation. Please understand. You might have noted down 100 grammatical errors of a speaker, but if he has a wonderful idea which changes my outlook about a particular aspect in my life, I will give more credit to that than 100 grammatical errors. Grammatical errors any time we can correct, but an insight I cannot give. All the Confucius saying or Lao Tzu saying are not written in English, please understand. They are written in their native languages. All the great insights are written in their native languages, be it Hebrew, be it Sanskrit, be it Chinese, be it Japanese. When you try to convert it into some other language, there is a possibility you may make a mistake in communicating what you think. Right? As we go further, we will improve our language. So that is the only technique. Any other questions?
So you mentioned what to look for in an evaluation, what to be looking at when somebody is giving a speech. But is there any kind of a template or an order in which you need to go to this?
First you have to summarize the speech, opening body, conclusion, the speech content. What is the sequence of the content, whether it is logically built, whether it is clear and lucid to you, and is there any discontinuity, disconnect in the speech, logical errors in the speech, whether there is any two different messages being presented to you, part of the speech is speaking to inform, part of the speech is inspiring the audience. Right? Then it becomes confusing to you. So that is analyzing the speech. In the delivery, how well he could have improved, what all he did well. Content, what all he did, bring in as a very good content, where all he could have improved the content. What words are, I remember telling one of his stories, how he could have given a twist to the story. That is an improvement of his content. Okay? Instead of merely telling the story he wanted to say, if you had brought a twist in the content, then it would have been good. So what is the content improvement you can give? Then when you are saying all these things, what is the technique you apply? Whether you are pushing the speaker up in his pride quotient or you are bringing him down with every evaluation. And finally, how are you summarizing this? These are 4 things. Thank you.